Hello, students of 6 McQuaid. Welcome to our last lesson in algebra. Now, when we have been looking at algebra, what we've been doing is we've been looking at how we can balance the equations and isolate our unknown variable so that we can find what that unknown variable is. Sometimes it can be hard to visualize what that looks like, and so we have a visualization of what our algebra problems actually are representing. But that can make it difficult when we're presented with it when we're not sure exactly what those numbers mean. So today we're going to go through a couple examples looking at what that balance is and how we can try and find an unknown number when we are presented with a visual rather than just written out as a formula or an equation, I should say. Use the correct words. So what I want to do is I want to go through a few of these. We will plug in the document camera and we will have a look at that as well, so we can go through some examples and we'll go from there. So on your slideshows, you guys see that we have attached all the documents for a lot of practice as well as a quick exit slip for this. But I just want to go through a couple together. So this is a pan balance or scales, things that go into the two pans, and the heavier pan will go down like in a seesaw. If the two things weigh the same, the balance stays balanced. So each of these show a balanced equation. And right in the middle here would be our equal sign. So our job is to solve how much each geometric shape weighs. You can either use pounds or kilograms. It doesn't matter which one you do use. With these, what we have is we want to try and create our equation using the variables. Now, in these, they are always going to be an unknown, and that unknown is your variable. So, and in here is the equal sign. So let's try this first one. Let's have a look here. We have two and two weights, 2 and 5, weigh the same as this square. So our job is to try and figure out what that square weighs. So let's open up this. There we are. So on our scale, we have 2, 5, and over here we have our unknown. So our unknown in this case is going to be x. That is our variable because we are trying to figure out what this is here. So the equation we can make would be 2 plus 5 is equal to x, because right this balance here is that equal portion. So now we can just combine them together, and for this one it's fairly straightforward, and we have 7 equals x. So that box weighs 7 kilograms or 7 pounds. We're in Canada, so we're going to say kilograms. So that's the first example, and that's a fairly straightforward example. The big key there that we want to see for the steps is that we identify what is the unknown, what the shape that we want to find the weight of, and we give it that x value or that variable. We assign it a variable name. Let's look at this next one. We have 2 and an unknown number on one side and 8 on the other. So let's have a look at how we do that one. So for this one, we have 2 and an unknown number on the left side, and it equals, because they are balanced, 8 on the right side. So for our equation, this isn't like our other equations where 2 right next to the unknown means multiplied, because they aren't being multiplied together. They're just showing that they're sitting in the pan of the scale. So what we have here is 2 plus x. Oops, I caught ahead of myself there. 2 plus, or sorry, you always want to try and put the variable first. X plus 2 is equal to 8. This is the x because it is our unknown. We have 2 there as well. I should put a circle around it. And that equals 8. So an unknown number plus 2 weighs the same as 8. So now we go through our steps that we have learned for solving equations already. We do the inverse to get the x by itself. We do the same thing to both sides. and we have x is equal to 6. So we're getting a little more difficult than these. We are starting to get more complicated equations. Let's have a look at another one. This one here, number C, we have circle, circle, and that is equal to 12. So we have two circles, and they are the same shape, they're the same size, they're the same color. So we know that they weigh the same. And those two together will equal 12. But we still want to create our equation. So we have x and x is equal to 12. That is the same as 2x is equal to 12 because we have two of the same thing. You could do x plus x, but that won't help us. Oops, x plus x is equal to 12, but that's not going to help us solve the equation. So x plus x is the same as 2 times x, and now that we've figured out what the equation is, we can solve by doing the inverse operation to get the x by itself. Since 2 times x, the opposite of that is divided by 2. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 6. Let's say again, kilograms. Because we have 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. And we can always check our answers like we've learned in our other lessons. So again, get more complicated. We have that addition going in there. If we have just one of them, we can multiply them together. Let's have a look at this next one then. So we have 7 and 2 unknowns and 11. And I'm not going to make this video too long because there are always going to be an infinite number of scenarios, but I want to show you some of the more common ones. Or at least an example for each one. So we have the equation 7 square square, or rectangle rectangle, is equal to 11. So 7 kilograms plus these two rectangles is equal to 11. We don't know what these rectangles weigh, but we know that they weigh the same as each other. So we can set up the equation. How many variables do we have? We have 2. So it is 2x plus 7 is the same as 11 kilograms. Now we just go through our steps. This is a multi-step equation we've made, so we have to go through the 2 steps. We have identify where our variable is. We try and isolate it by using the inverse or the opposite operation. (11 minus 7 equals 4). Divide both sides by 2. And x is equal to 2. We divided both of those sides by 2 because we wanted to get the variable by itself. Since 2 was multiplying by the x, we divided by 2, and when we do to one side, we do to the other. So our equation has shown that it's x is equal to 2. Now you can test that out. Again, you can check to see if your answer is correct. Does 7 plus 2 equal 11? Yes, it does. So you can make sure that your answer is correct. If it doesn't, something went wrong, and you can go back and go through the steps again to see where that error may have been made. Let's try, we've already done one example here. Here we have 35 is equal to 5x because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equations. And I always want you guys to do this. I always want you guys to try and do the algebraic equation with it, okay? I have all the answer keys here, and with the algebraic equation, the algebra equation that goes with it. But the one here, the example here that I want to go through, because you will see samples of these as well, and just explain up at top. If there are unknown shapes on both sides, use this, then they call it a trick, but it's really just a method to help simplify your equations. Take away the same amount of unknown shapes on both sides. The scale will continue to stay balanced. If you take a 5-pound bag off of one side of the scale, you are taking a 5-pound bag off the other side of the scale. So if you take away 2 diamonds from both sides, then we see that 3 diamonds weigh 15, and we can figure it out from there. So let's have a look at just the first two. Let's look at the first two, just to give an example on that. So we have, too high. We have, I'm just going to do circles just for speed's sake, but we are doing the 44 and that circle there. There we go. Okay, let's get away from here. We will go back. There it is. Okay, so we have 5 circles on this side, weighs the same as 44 pounds. I'm going to say kilograms, 44 kilograms, and 1 circle. Now it's going to be difficult to do this. We can set it up as 5x is equal to x plus 44, and then simplify it from there, subtract an x from both sides. But we can skip that by simply crossing out an x or crossing out an unknown on each side, and it will still stay balanced because we are subtracting whatever this number is, and we are subtracting whatever this number is. Say it's 10. We are subtracting 10 from this side, and we're subtracting 10 from this side, so the ratio stays balanced. So now we have 4x, because 1, 2, 3, 4, is equal to 44. Now we simply solve. 4 times x, opposite of that, divide by 4, x is equal to 11. Let's try one more of that, and then that'll be it, and you guys can practice. Let's see here. I know there was another one. This one here. This is a perfect example. So we have circle, 15 circle, and we have circle, circle, 7 circle. Sounds like a language. Yes. Although I'm going to put, yeah, well, you guys will see. It looks like I put 870 and 150, so that's not right. So I'm going to color those in. Okay, so we could do 2x plus 15, because we have 2 unknowns, is equal to 3x plus 7. You could do that, but an easier way, and you will get into these examples in higher grades, but we are just learning our algebra. So what we want to do instead is we want to simplify as much as we can before we start writing that expression out, or equation, I should say. So we take 1 away from each side. It's still there, so we take 1 more away from each side. Now we have a simple equation of 15 is equal to x plus 7, because there's only 1 unknown left, and there's 7 kilograms left here and 15 kilograms left here. Now it's a much simpler equation to try and solve. It is simply isolate the variable by doing the opposite or inverse operation. Minus 7, 8 is equal to x. And that's it, guys. That is all we're doing. The hardest part of this is going to be getting used to creating those equations